Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 22 My Team Career Mode. This is episode number 108 today for the Austrian Grand Prix in Season 7. If you guys did miss the previous one at the Monaco Grand Prix, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one. We donned a special one-off livery for Monaco with the martini stripes layered all over our car, and unfortunately, very much like real life, a special one-off livery did not provide the special bit of luck we were hoping for as a team, especially for our teammate Lewis Hamilton, as he was on for a first ever podium in Formula 1 on his return after retiring in Season 2 in this series, and instead he ended up with a retirement at the Monaco GP, his car going up in smokes, and unfortunately for us, we got held up in that and had our own little tanglements and frustrations in that race, and came away with even a special message and warning for hitting the safety car, which I've never seen in the history of Formula 1 games. Usually the safety car just simply blows you up, or you get a definite penalty for tapping the safety car. So we got kind of lucky in a sense coming away from that bit of contact and letting the anger get to me a little bit, because we weren't able to pit under the safety car with the double stack going to hinder us. And in the end of it, due to being held up by Hamilton's plume of smoke, we hobbled through to P6 outside the top 5 at the Monaco GP. But it was a great day in the office for Gulf Porsche Williams, with a double podium taking them to the lead of the Constructors' Championship, and for Leclerc, for the first time in the series and in real life as well, he won his home race. The man from Monaco won around the streets he grew up in, and Leclerc's AI takes a first race victory for a long time in the series, and his first for Gulf Porsche Williams, and certainly shows that there are more than just perhaps Audi and Vettel Rennsport in this fight. Williams have really arrived and shown them to be a bit of a dark horse, because Leclerc has just gone about his business, been consistent in the last couple of episodes, and that win has now taken him back into the frame and announces himself into the championship fight, I guess you could say. So we have work to do. It's going to be difficult, but I'm looking forward to Austria, because historically the Austrian Grand Prix is a very good one for every My Team car. The My Team car just seems to go really well, suits the circuit of the Red Bull Ring, so I think myself and Hamilton can do well, and I'm hoping Hamilton can bounce back from that adversity of the retirement from a podium position at Monaco. I hope so, because we're going to need both me and him to score well, because it's difficult out here to really challenge the other teams when, you know, they've got two drivers scoring good points in the case of Porsche Williams and also Vettel Rennsport. Audi, I guess, is in the same boat as us, with Lando being the leader there, scoring most of the points, and Sainz is basically our Hamilton, if you will. But it would be very handy for Hamilton to start scoring some good points for us as well. And there were signs of the old Lewis Hamilton there at Monaco, so hopefully he can reignite that and bounce back here at the Red Bull Ring. And first and foremost, to do that, we need to qualify well. It is a sprint race weekend, so we're here on Friday qualifying ahead of the sprint race on Saturday. But a bit of a peculiar Q1 as we end things off in P10. Hamilton P4 looking good, but Verstappen then, the Ferrari, you can see up there in third place. His teammate Robert Schwartzman knocked out a good 1 second slower than him. I mean, things are pretty tight around the Red Bull Ring, such a short circuit, so you do see the field spread being a bit smaller in terms of actual lap time. But Verstappen there in a very inferior Ferrari, I think, had a bit of a glitched qualifying time to get himself that high up, so I don't really know what to make of that. And we kind of go into Q2 then, kind of in an unknown of where everyone's going to be, because I don't know if there's going to be more glitch times maybe to come. And right now at the moment, myself and Hamilton in the bottom bit. Hamilton goes quickest of all now in Q2. We're now in the drop zone P11, and we're looking to make amends for what happened at Monaco and even the previous race as well, if you remember. 2 times we're knocked out in Q2. This time, thankfully, we break that duck and we get into Q3 for the first time in 3 episodes. Hamilton, though, looking quick and showing he has bounced back from that adversity at Monaco to be second place, splitting the 2 Audis who look pretty darn strong. Sainz for once joining his teammate Lando up there, but Verstappen a bit more crashing down to reality for him as he goes in last place in Q2. So that definitely was a bit of a glitch time for the Ferrari. Usual suspects in the top 10 here, both Vettel Rennsport cars cars, both Williams. A bit of a shock of no Repsol Haas featured in this top 10. It's both Mercedes cars that are actually through. So we've got some stiff competition, and that first flying lap wasn't that great, but that's because it was on a scrub set of tyres that are used in Q1, because being a sprint weekend, you have less allocation for soft tyres, so we had to use an old set just to get a bit of a banker lap in, just to kind of let us know how we're doing on this second flying lap. The track getting quicker and quicker, despite it getting colder and more overcast, actually, and finding a really good groove through the last couple of corners to pick up about 0.8 of a second to go right up there for this second row. Third place, we get very closely matched to Hamilton, showing that's really where the car is, and proves my point about the My Team car going well always around the Red Bull Ring. But it's all Audi on the front row. It's a front row lockout, and Carlos Sainz, well, he maybe heard me just before in the comm box about being, you know, the Audi's Hamilton, if you were, because he's got him beaten Lando Norris and gets his first pole position for Audi this season. So in fine fighting form, looking to prove that he can be just as quick as Lando Norris in the Audi this season, and looking to prove he can score some points for the team. But it looks like it's going to be Audi versus AAR, at least in this sprint race potentially, as the Williams, Vettel, Rennsport, Mercedes cars all behind us in a bit of a checkerboard, with things being fine and close between all of them. But it looks like at the start here on the formation lap, Norris maybe a little bit irked about being beaten to pole position, being inside of Carlos Sainz, ghosting through his car at the start here. So to be honest, I'm sensing maybe a little bit of Audi civil war coming up, maybe at turn 1, with these two wanting to prove who's the top dog. Between myself and Hamilton, I'm hoping we can keep it clean, and to be honest, I want him to do well in this sprint. This is a great chance to bounce back from the Monaco woes, and of course set the grid for tomorrow's full Grand Prix. There's still some good points on offer today though, so we need to be on maximum attack, looking to maximise our positions in this tight season as we go to 5 red lights. It's the Austria sprint. It's underway. Norris, bit of a slow start. Sainz even worse, and maybe we can get through on the outside. Norris on the inside of his teammate. The three of us are 3 wide into turn 1. We gave enough room to Sainz on the inside. We're going to try and have a go at him into the next corner. We're squeezing Lando to the inside, and Hamilton comes through on the outside. Bit of contact between the two Audis. It's not quite full-on civil war, but Lando Norris breaks a bit of his front wing on his teammate, and all of a sudden Lewis Hamilton is now jockeying for first position. He's got to make the double overtake, and now trying to make it a triple overtake as he tries to finish off the move on the Spaniard to take P1 in the sprint. Can Hamilton do it? No. Sainz manages to claw it back mid-corner, I suspect with a little bit of contact, to be honest there. So a bit frosty between Hamilton and Sainz, but Sainz is the one that leads the way then as we go to the end of lap 1. Hamilton second, myself in third, closing up as Lando Norris dives into the pits. The exact opposite of what you want in a sprint race, where ideally there are no pit stops to be had. He's come in on lap 1 for a front wing change, so that's going to be a long afternoon and maybe a long race tomorrow on Sunday from down the order as he goes down to last place. Meanwhile, we keep watching on as Hamilton now is having a second pop at Carlos Sainz to try and take the lead. This is Hamilton at his best, maybe back in Formula 1 in this series. This is a bit more like it as Lewis edges ahead into P1. Sainz though comes back, and them two side by side once again in the second sector, and we're just sitting behind them now, closing up, but unable to make a move quite yet. But we're waiting for our chance. There will be a chance surely to get stuck in, but there was a bit of a kerfuffle on lap 2 whilst these guys were battling. Fernando Alonso breaking his front wing. Oh, how the mighty have fallen from last season, the championship rival we had of Aston Martin. He's out of the sprint early on. First DNF for the day, and he sits this one out with his car facing too much damage. As we now move things back to the end of lap 2 on to 3, Hamilton still going for it into turn 1. This time no less. bit of contact and a bit of wobble on the rear end slows him down. We're there squeezing out Leclerc and trying to get a bit of a long-range tow to make the double pass, as both us AAR cars are side by side with Carlos Sainz. We backed out of it though, thought better of it, and that's actually invited Leclerc to come in there, so that's a bit unfortunate. Lewis has made the overtake though. He's going defensive to the inside, and we're both in the similar position on the inside for the next right-hander. I'm defending Leclerc, Hamilton defends Sainz. We've managed to hold on to P3, but can Hamilton hold on to P1? He's now the one on the outside of this left-hander, and like Sainz did, he manages to keep that first place. We now have a go at the Spaniard. You can see his rear end wobbling about. That Audi is a little bit flustered, and we're trying to catch him at the right time, but here comes Leclerc on the inside. We have to give him the racing room because he goes for the kamikaze dive down the hill, and there's a bit of contact behind. Schumacher caught up in that, and Magnussen's out. No front left tyre, and there's a bit of a pile-up, and Tsunoda has just crashed into Magnussen in the most pedestrian-like way. That is just a shame. He could have definitely avoided that. But now there's 4 cars ghosting at the last corner, and that is why we now have a full course safety car. But this is what actually happened then. So this is on board Magnussen up ahead, myself and Leclerc side by side. Schumacher just goes wide and comes back on circuit at the wrong time for Magnussen. Catches 2 cars of the Red Bull and the Mercedes of Albon. Tsunoda goes right through them, but for some reason Magnussen was not ghosted, so Tsunoda breaks his tyre on Magnussen's rear end. And Schumacher, to be fair, he's very lucky not to be out of the race with the contact he made with Magnussen, and didn't shear off his front right tyre. Albon just gets stuck behind the Williams and then ghosts, and then Tsunoda comes through him. But Albon's still in this race then, so he's a bit luckier than Tsunoda, really, the fact that he just stopped there on the spot. But now... Oh, what? What's just happened? Alexander Albon has crashed into this safety car. This safety car has taken out someone. He was waiting to catch the leader, but Bert Mailander has taken out Albon, and he got decked on the rear end by Verstappen to doubly make sure he was out the Grand Prix. And now there's a couple of cars without a front wing, and all of a sudden we have 4 DNFs in this sprint race. It's only been 4 laps, and we've had 4 DNFs at this rate. We're going to have 12 DNFs by the end of this one on Saturday. And the likes of Lando Norris, they've really gained, because there was a lot of chaos from that safety car collision, to the point where there's so many people making pit stops for their front wing that now Lando Norris, having pit on the first lap, he was last place, he's now in P9. As we now move back to our onboard and we get going again, green flag racing, and we're looking to have a go at Carlos Sainz straight away into turn 1, wheel to wheel. We give him a bit of room, no contact made, clean move, and we've made it a 1-2 now for AAR. Hamilton leads the way by 1.3 seconds. Behind Carlos Sainz, hounded by a couple of cars. Schumacher trying to make a double dive bomb on Leclerc and Sainz, and carbon fibre is flying behind them because Oscar Piastri breaks his car on the rear end of another and causes another pile-up. And now we cut back to Schumacher, who crashes into Leclerc as he has an engine failure. What is going on in this sprint race, as now the Aston Martin breaks its front wing on Schumacher. Schumacher retiring with an engine failure, but not whilst also taking off the front wing of Leclerc and an Aston Martin car. It's absolute pandemonium. I've never seen the AI be this clumsy and aggressive on themselves. For once, we're not involved like it was a Bahrain, as more chaos is happening. Sargent has just crashed into a car coming into the pit lane. It's official. The AI have lost their marbles. What is going on? We've now got, how many is that? Like 6, 7 DNFs in this one. We've got a couple of more cars coming in for pit stops for the front wing. What is going on? What is going on? Let's look at a replay and try to figure out what's happened here then. So Piastri going for a move. I suspect gets it, way crossed up. Hits the back of the Andretti. T-bone side away across and causes a pile-up. So Verstappen and the Red Bull caught up in that. And then Sargent breaks his front wing on the Aston Martin, who had broken his front wing on Schumacher, retiring at the Grand Prix. Did that make sense? Probably not still. It's all rather confusing. So many domino effects of one car breaking down, causing a front wing issue, causing another person a front wing issue, and now we cut back to live action on lap 9 under a virtual safety car, and Verstappen has now retired from this Grand Prix, adding to the list of retirements overall, and that retirement is going to turn this virtual safety car into a full course safety car. This sprint race has had 8 DNFs and 2 safety cars. A 12-lap sprint race has had 8 DNFs and 2 safety cars. That is unbelievable. The AI, something's in the water today. They're on an absolute mad one. And for once, thankfully, I'm nowhere near it. I'm not even involved. They're just having a kamikaze all-out war on themselves. As we now go back to green flag racing onto the second last lap of this sprint race. Hamilton leads the way, and we're not going to try and be overly aggressive because we've only got 2 laps. This is definitely not the time to do something silly and try and be a hero. We're just going to try and bring this home for the 1-2 in the sprint. The front row lockout for tomorrow's full Grand Prix is behind Drugovich, trying to steal away third place from Sainz in the Vettel Rennsport car. Can the Brazilian do it? He pulls that to the outside. Sainz defensive. So there are still some AI out here trying to have a clean race as Sainz wrestles that wagging tail Audi up into P3 to maintain that third place. Lando Norris, look at this, up to P6. That's how chaotic this race has been, that he went from last place at the end of lap 1 having to pit for damage. He's climbed back up to P6. What a comeback for Lando Norris in the Audi. You've got Schwartzman in a very slow Ferrari being overtaken by Ricciardo in the Red Bull Ford, but the Ferrari still maintaining a top 10, as well as Teo Pourchaire in the McLaren P10. Both those teams will be absolutely chuffed with this position as they do battle. And now we're seeing Lando Norris maybe under attack from Nico Hülkenberg whilst he was trying to actually get one more position in this insane comeback, and he still might get it as he shoots one down the inside the Audi with all the confidence in the world. Slightly fresher medium tyres, of course, because of his pit stop, but Russell remains firm to try and get this top 5 finish. The Mercedes is behind. You can see Pourchaire and Schwartzman still having a battle for P10 and 9 on the road. No points available for them in the sprint, but for sure it's going to be a great grid position for tomorrow's full Sunday Grand Prix. But this man's going to have the best seat in the house. It's going to be P1 today in the sprint, which will turn into pole position for tomorrow's Grand Prix. But Hamilton wins again in Formula 1. It's not a full Grand Prix win, but it is a win nonetheless. It's the sprint win today on Saturday for Lewis Hamilton. It's a 1-2 in that sprint for AAR, our team. What a result. What a result. But what a mental race. Honestly, those AI were crazy. I don't know what went on. There was so many kerfuffles going on, so many domino effects of one car breaks his front wing, then that car breaks someone else's front wing, there's a retirement that causes a front wing damage, and then, let's not forget, an AI got crashed out by this safety car. I hit the safety car last episode and got a warning, and so it seems like the safety car driver today wanted to take revenge on any Formula 1 car out there and decided to take out Alexander Albon. Unreal stuff. That is mental. You'll never see that in Formula 1 in real life. A safety car goes rogue. So following that chaotic one, with the points we picked up in the sprint, we actually lead the way now in the Drivers' Championship by 3 points to Leclerc. All quite fine though, with only a couple of points separating the top 4 in the championship. And look at the top 3 in the Constructors, separated by 7 points. It is mighty fine, but now we've got a full Grand Prix with full points on offer, so that could all very much change. change, but it's going to be a 1-2 for our team. Front row lockout, best seats in the house, and there might be some rain involved. Let's go to the Grand Prix.
Good afternoon and welcome to Spielberg and to a circuit that in one form or another has held every Austrian Grand Prix in the championship except the very first back in 1964. It was at this race that John Watson lost a bet and his beard when he took Team Penske's only F1 victory in 1976. If anything, the stakes are even higher today, with 25 points available for victory and a crucial advantage in the championship fight. It's a short lap here in Spielberg with just 10 corners, 7 to the right and 3 to the left, making up the total distance of 2.6 miles. And expect to see a lot of cars running wide today, especially through the last corner, as the wet conditions make the cars skittish through the downhill sections. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. It's the owner-driver then in pole position, and the smooth operator Carlos Sainz completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Drugovich, Russell, Lando Norris and Hülkenberg, Ricciardo, Théo Pourchaire, Leclerc and Sergio Perez, Gasly, Liam Lawson, Logan Sargent and Oscar Piastri, Albon, Magnussen, Yuki Tsunoda and Fernando Alonso. Schwartzman, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Hamilton, Verstappen and Mick Schumacher. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. With the Grand Prix nearly upon us, Anthony Davidson is by my side once again to offer his perspective. Let's have a chat about Williams. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
Well, it seems when it rains, it certainly pours for poor old Lewis Hamilton. Because if you watch that grid sequence, you'll know why we are here in P1. Hamilton's got a bloody grid penalty. It makes a bit of sense because he had an engine failure at Monaco, so he's had to take that penalty following that retirement last episode. But that is so cruel. Hamilton did all the hard work, got the sprint win yesterday on the Saturday, but does not get to be on pole position because of his penalties. He's actually all the way at the back on the last row of this race. We inherit pole position, so we've got to continue what Hamilton started and try and win this race for him and for the team, as a couple of drivers got disqualified from the formation lap for being a bit naughty in these wet conditions. Can't blame them though, very, very wet conditions. And looking at the forecast, I think we're going to have heavy rain for the entire race. So this is going to be a very long and arduous Sunday Grand Prix around the Red Bull Ring. Sainz elevated to second place, Drugovich third, Russell fourth, Norris in P5 after that titanic comeback from last place to P6 on the road in yesterday's sprint. So he's deserved a top 5 start, to be honest. But for us, on pole position, we need to be making the most of this, especially in honour of our teammate who should have been there. So here we go then to 5 red lights to a soaking Austrian Grand Prix. Lights out and we are underway, and it's a pretty amazing start for us, just like we had last season in these same sort of conditions into turn 1 in P1, and the cars behind us are fighting and give us already about a 1.7 second gap as we go to the end of sector 1, climbing up the hill. The 2 Audis are side by side. What an electric start for Lando Norris. He's gone from P5 to P3, and it might just be P2 because he out-tractions Carlos Sainz. This man doesn't know when to quit. He was last place lap 1 of the sprint, and now here in the full Grand Prix, he's in second place and looking very good indeed. The 2 Audis squabbling though have given us an almighty lead already. 2 seconds in under half a lap is pretty impressive, but it's not down to me. It's down to all those cars fighting so much. As behind me see the likes of Schumacher, who was out the Grand Prix of course. He's up to P4 P14. So actually quite a lot of comeback drives at the start of this race. Schumacher has done insane in the wet to be up in P14 from where he was on the grid. P13 now, as Norris continues to fight Sainz, though, as Sainz just won't give this up. And now the gap for us in P1 has grown to 2.6 seconds. This is looking amazing for us. If Sainz can actually keep up a bit of pace and continue to maybe annoy his teammate, the two Audis are going to squabble to the point where we build such a gap that we don't need to worry maybe about any lack of pace in the wet conditions. But there's a virtual safety car that is now out. Thankfully not a full course safety car, so our gap is not eroded. In theory, it should remain the same. And the virtual safety car is out because of Fernando Alonso crashing into the back of his good old pal, Lewis Hamilton, at turn 1. Enough debris for the FI to think we need a virtual safety car. But like I said, that virtual safety car, in theory, should mean we keep the advantage we had over the Audis. But we're going to take a quick replay at Mick Schumacher's start, because he was actually on the last row, not Hamilton. So he's gone from last place to where he is right now in the live action. So off the line from last place, gets the two Ferraris. Bit of a blind spot into turn 1, but that does not faze Mick as he goes for the dive bomb. Doesn't get the Aston, but at this stage he's already overtaken 3 cars then. The two Ferraris, Hamilton, he out-tractions Alonso, so that's 4 overtakes here. And now he's going to size up maybe another move up the hill as he goes from right to left, trying to suss out where to place his car. And we'll finally get that Andretti. He tried to get into turn 1, out-traction Tsunoda. He's overtaken 5 cars. He then makes the most disgusting dive bomb I've ever seen from an AI. It's like he's an actual player. He's just overtaken 3 cars in one move. So we're up to 7 overtakes on lap 1, and now this is overtake number 8 as he goes down the inside of the McLaren. Mick Schumacher's AI out here driving and making moves like he's an actual player versus the AI. That was some insane work, and in full wet conditions as well as an added bonus challenge. So very much Mick Schumacher channeling that talent his dad always had in the wet conditions. As we go back to green racing, back to the live action on lap 3, and our advantage has actually grown through the virtual safety car to 3 seconds, now 4.4 by lap 4 as the AI continue to battle. And Mick Schumacher just made another double overtake there on Pourchaire and Liam Lawson. He's making it look piss easy. He's gone from P22 to P11 in essentially just 4 complete laps there. Unreal stuff as we see fighting going on between Albon and Lawson. Albon going wide in these tricky conditions. Pourchaire bit slow. Magnussen making contact with him on lap 9, and he's broken his front wing, and Magnussen will have to trundle round for a whole lap now without a front wing. And in a very weird, unfortunate series of events, Magnussen gets revenge on Pourchaire as Pourchaire is crashed out by Magnussen without a front wing. It's like the sprint race all over again. Someone without a front wing causes someone else pain through the pit entry. Pourchaire out of this race, and that's on lap 11, and that causes a full course safety car, much to my annoyance, because I had a 3.7 gap to Lando Norris, because the Audis were fighting and squabbling so much that they lost all that time already, and we were maintaining the pace versus Lando Norris. So that's unfortunate. So now that lead will be eroded, and we're going to have to do all the work again to try and stay steady as we have another bit of contact with a safety car. This time it's Pierre Gasly. He hasn't been taken out by the safety car, but he has got a bit of damage there off the safety car. So for sure it seems some of these AI lines are very broken around Austria, it would really seem. But we come in then under this safety car because the pit stop was going to be around lap 18 for another set of full wets to the end, so we may as well take a free pit stop. But both Audi cars don't come in. Norris takes the lead of the race, Sainz goes second. Not even one of them comes in. I would have thought one of them may have come in, and the other, okay, maybe you don't come in because you don't want to double stack with your teammate so close to you, but both Audis don't come in. What are they playing at? What is the point? There is no point staying out. If you can make a pit stop, you may as well, because this is the last pit stop I'm going to make all race, because these tyres should be able to get to the end of this race. It's a one-stop pitting around lap 18 usually. So we've only lost 2 positions. We're in P3, a little bit skatey on the exit of the safety car coming in onto green. But it's lap 14 now by the time the safety car comes in. So within 3 laps, both these Audis will have to come in for their pit stop to go on to the second set of full wet tyres, and then we're back into P1. So, well, you know, they've absolutely fumbled that completely, Audi. I don't know what they're playing at. Are they going to try and slow me down with Carlos Sainz maybe to give Norris a bit of a gap? I don't know, but myself, Drugovich, you know, we both pit under that safety car, so we're in prime position to be first and second, respectively. Ricciardo in the Red Bull Ford, he's not pit, so he's elevated to P5. Quite a few AI have actually not pit, as we have a bit of a lock-up, though. We nearly go cleanly off circuit, and Felipe Drugovich comes in. Maybe this was Audi's plan all along to try and slow us up, hope we make mistakes, and hope myself and Drugovich end up fighting to give them a bit of a cushion to make that pit stop outside of the safety car. But it's not going to work, because lap 16, we get our head down, we recompose after that slight error and mistake, and look at the massive snap of oversteer that Sainz has got now. He's going to be a sitting duck, because he's going to be feeling the tyre wear now on that first set of full wet tyres, whereas my wet tyres are pretty fresh. They've only been going for a couple of racing laps properly and a couple under the safety car. So we're closing up now to the Spaniard. We've set the fast lap of the Grand Prix, so we're very much the quickest car on this circuit right now. And Sainz goes slow. He locks up. He locks up and goes straight on and just gives us the position. So we're already up to P2 before they've even made their pit stops. And Norris, he's only 1 second down the road, and he's going to have to come in the next couple of laps. So we're going to get first place, and Drugovich here is going to try and overtake Carlos Sainz to get up into P3 fair and square before even he makes his pit stop. So the Audis, both of them, they're going to be scratching their heads of what on earth this race strategy was, as Sainz is giving Drugovich a fair old battle, wheel-to-wheel stuff, side by side, in full wet conditions. Very impressive from both these drivers, but Drugovich is going to have the grip, surely, to get this move done. Sainz tries to fight that, but eventually it's no use, and the Brazilian is up into third place, and it will eventually, like I said all along, be first and second for myself and Drugovich, as now behind we see Leclerc going a bit slow. I think he's got damage on his front wing. Now there are quite a few people out of position that have not pit under that safety car. Hulkenberg, you know what, I thought that was going to be a classic crash there, as we've seen so many times this episode, but Hulkenberg manages to skate around and keep going. Hamilton up to P12, Schumacher down to P13, but that's because Schumacher has pit under the safety car. Hamilton did not. Oscar Piastri is another person who pit under the safety car, I believe, and he's having a go at Liam Lawson, and Schumacher is trying to have a go at Hamilton. Both of them have overtaken the Aston Martin of Sergio Perez. Schumacher going for the move round the outside. Piastri the same on Liam Lawson, and also behind, Sargent is side by side with Sergio Perez. 2 by 2 by 2. These AI are having some insane scraps around the Austrian Grand Prix in these wet conditions. Piastri still not finished the move. Neither is Schumacher. Hamilton actually comes back at Schumacher, and Hamilton trying to maintain this P11, but it's a bit futile because he's going to have to come in now for his pit stop soon. So again, you know, just wondering why a couple of these AI have not come in, because there goes Sainz into the pits. Ricciardo will follow him through. I think the same for the likes of Lawson, Hamilton, Sargent, Perez. You know, so many of these AI have not come in, and they just wasted that opportunity of the safety car, kind of almost like what I did at Monaco in a way, but there was way more onus to pit under the safety car here at Austria, because you know how durable the wet tyres are. There's no way that this second set of wet tyres is not getting to the end of the Grand Prix from when we pit, and we overtake Norris even before he comes into the pits, such as how slow he is with that tyre wear he's facing on that first set of tyres with all the heavy fuel load. So we're up into first place, and order has been resumed, and we're a good 2 seconds about ahead of Felipe Drugovich. I think it's going to be Russell into P3, because I think Russell also did come in under the safety car, so he made a correct decision. So the Mercedes flying high in a very lofty P3. Hulkenberg P4. He also pit under the safety car. So all these guys are very smart. Schumacher, what a comeback for Schumacher. He's now officially gone from last place to 5th place because he's here, legitimately, no pit stop to make. That is incredible stuff from Mick Schumacher. Logan Sargent and the Andretti is in P6. Norris comes out behind him, but it immediately overtakes him. But the Andretti, the rookie American, could be on for some good points here still, even from P7, because the cars behind him may, you know, if he puts up a fight, he could well keep the position. But Norris up to P6, Sainz down to P11, so both Audis have thrown away at least minimum a double podium to P6 and 11 right now in this race. So that is a huge fumble from the German outfit, and the rest of the top 10 is Albon, Magnussen and Verstappen, of all people, in the Ferrari. So a very mixed up race in these full wet conditions, and maximum concentration needed to bring this home, because a mistake is as easy as this. Just a little bit early on throttle, we have to go opposite lock and catch the car and keep it going in the right direction. But now that mistake has brought Drugovich within 1 second, so we have to do some work. And 2 laps later, onto lap 24, we have brought the gap back to over a second. So having to really concentrate to make sure we keep this first place and keep Drugovich at bay. But he's keeping me very, very honest at this stage of the Grand Prix.
Not just yet, but we've seen a problem at our end. We're looking into it.
Oh, you have to be kidding me. No, please do not tell me this is it. That can't be it. Tell me it's a fuel issue. Just a little fuel niggling issue, or ERS stuck on. Don't let this be a full failure. We're doing so well. We basically dominated this whole Grand Prix in full wet conditions, no less. Please, Honda, please hold through. We've only got 1/3 of the race to go. It's not going to hold through. It's going to be a full engine failure. Our first one of the season, but it just feels as painful as any of the others, because we were leading. We've been leading for so much of this race. Back-to-back engine failures for the team. Hamilton at Monaco, me at Austria. The sprint race was a false sense of hope. The 1-2, Hamilton won the sprint. But today, on the Sunday, Hamilton out the points, and I go from first to no points. It's a mechanical failure, the full engine failure, and there's nothing we can do about it. It's our first one in the season, to be fair, but that doesn't make it any less painful.
Anthony, tell me, what was it that helped them achieve this success?
Rain always has the potential to liven up a race and mix up the order, and they've taken full advantage of that to claim the victory today. It's always a bit of a lottery when the conditions are like this, but they've managed to stay on circuit and have come out on top.
And through the smoke of my engine failure, Felipe Drugovich is there at the right place, right time to pick up the pieces. He gets his first win of the season, and first win for Vettel Rennsport. Finally getting on the scoreboard like his teammate Mick Schumacher, and it's another different winner this season, actually, to be fair, so that's quite nice. But what isn't so nice is having that failure from first place after having such a commanding lead in the first stint, doing well to pit and just get the Audis pull their pants down. Didn't matter. It did not matter. Drugovich wins this Austrian Grand Prix. Hulkenberg finally gets a podium, though, for Repsol Haas, so that's at least a bit of good news in Formula 1 as well for the German. Russell gets a fantastic 3rd place for Mercedes. Lando Norris, P4 for Audi, is quite big, to be fair, you know, considering where he was in the sprint, but also kind of shocking considering what he could have done in this race if he had pit under the safety car. He probably would have been in prime position to take the win. But our failure and Drugovich's win, and others scoring a few less points they may have, means that in the Drivers' Championship, Norris leads the way by 2 points to Mick Schumacher, then 5 points back is myself, and 2 to Leclerc. 9 points covers the top 4 in the championship. Drugovich in P5 with that race win. Hamilton in P11 with a sprint win at least. But in the Constructors, my jaw dropped to the floor because of Hulkenberg's podium and Piastri as well scoring well. We've dropped as a team to P5 in the construct, we were leading like 2 episodes ago, I'm pretty sure, or a couple of points off P1 at least. Vettel Rennsport leads the way now, 34 points ahead of Audi. It's very tight between Audi, Porsche, Williams, and Repsol Haas. Only a couple of points in there, and also to ourselves, to be fair. I think that's, what is it, 12 points? 12 points covering the P2 to P5, which is pretty incredible for a constructors fight. And so Vettel Rennsport, ever the kind of consistent, quietly kind of just doing bits in the championship with both Schumacher and Drugovich, but that is frustrating. We've got some work to do as a team to try and claw that back. I mean, we all have, to be fair, versus Vettel Rennsport, but in the Drivers' Championship, it's tight as ever, but it could have been so much, it could have been so different, would have been such in our favour in the Constructors and in the Drivers' Championship if we were to go on to win that race, but that is Formula 1. It is a cruel sport, and it's cruelly taken one on me today with a failure from P1. But, guys, if you have enjoyed what was a crazy Austrian Grand Prix with that sprint race, which I still haven't forgotten about, with a safety car crashing out a Formula 1 car, then be sure to hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.